Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Late Friday night, some massive news for Mario Cristobal. The Miami Hurricanes coming out of the recruiting trail. 3-star defensive lineman Dante Simpson flipping his commitment from Maryland to the Miami Hurricanes. I'm a really big fan of this commitment for a couple of different reasons. One, you look at Miami in the 2025 cycle and say, we needed some big bodies on the inside of the defensive line in this 2025 cycle. Dante Simpson certainly checking that box, but I think more importantly, I am a bigger fan of this kid than what you see on the recruiting services. And, it's kind of understandable why he might be flying under the radar at 6'3", 280 pounds. He's not necessarily the monster defensive lineman that you see some of these other kids at the high school ranks, but you turn on the film and say, one, the first step, the quickness, the athleticism, it is elite for Dante Simpson, and he knows how to use his hands. And when you get big bodies on the inside that are extremely quick off the line of scrimmage and then know how to use their hands, they're extremely dangerous on the inside of the defensive line. And I think what you're hoping for Dante Simpson is, hey, we're going to take a player with elite athleticism. He might be a little bit undersized, but with the 6'3" frame, we can get him to 300 pounds after that freshman year within this program. And then if you can get him to 300 pounds and have him maintain some of that juice and athleticism on the inside, I think you're getting maybe a high upside player with a guy like Dante Simpson. The player comp that I would kind of throw on Dante Simpson, Simeon Barrow Jr., or maybe a guy like Jared Harrison Hunt, where it's not necessarily the massive big body on the inside of the defensive line, but a defensive lineman that can play that 3-tech, get a lot of penetration, give you some juice in the pass rush. And that's kind of what you're getting with Dante Simpson. And I'm just kind of fascinated to see what this kid can turn out to be year 2, year 3 within this program. He's not a Justin Scott. He's not ready to dominate college football as a true freshman. This is a guy that's probably going to take a year to marinate. But if he comes out and can kind of get that body right, I think there's some juice to work with Dante Simpson. Fired up to get into the film. Before we do, as always, a massive shout out to the Miami Hurricane fans. If y'all checking the fellas out late Friday night, talking recruiting in the middle of the summer, we appreciate you guys. This is something we absolutely love to do, get the opportunity to do it because you guys support the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Again, the support means the absolute world to the boys. And without further ado, let's get into Dante Simpson. I think you got to start with the production at some high level of high school football down at Shamadab Madonna Prep. 19.5 tackles for a loss, 7.5 sacks. I'm kind of surprised a kid like Dante Simpson with the amount of production, again, at a high level of high school football, kind of getting overlooked the way he is. Again, does it make sense because of the size and frame? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But when you turn on the film, there is a lot to like about what Dante Simpson brings to the table. You dive into it and say, one, the first step off the line of scrimmage is extremely devastating for interior offensive linemen. You start rolling the film and say, this kid is so good off the line of scrimmage, really challenges interior offensive linemen with that first step, coming backside, making a play. He is a penetrator kind of defensive lineman. And you see all sorts of different kind of defensive linemen. You'll see your kind of 2-gappers, your guys that you want to play at that nose and kind of eat up some space. And then you have the guys that are penetrators, the guys that can give you those negative plays, give you that pass rush production. That's kind of what Dante Simpson is. You continue to roll through the film. And again, I think the first step off the line of scrimmage is something that really stands out. Really, really good off the line, knows how to use his hands, fighting off blocks, making plays behind the line of scrimmage. He's excellent at disengaging from offensive linemen, whether it's in the pass rush, whether it's in the run game. Again, you see in the pass rush, this is a guy that he's just really, really good off the line of scrimmage, and a lot of interior offensive linemen struggle to get hands on him. I also like the ability to play with low pads, right? 6'3", 280, you might kind of assume that he might not necessarily be the most powerful offensive lineman, but if you're a body that may be undersized, but you know how to play with good leverage, you can win with some power too. Eating up a double team right here, playing with low pads, coming out. Again, this will be a little bit more effective once he gets a little bit stronger, adds a little bit more weight, but he is working through a double team, going after getting the quarterback. All over the film, you just see this kid get behind the line of scrimmage. Love the athleticism, the ability to operate in space. You just kind of, a little interception there. Go make a play, take it to the house. Absolutely. Dante Simpson is one of those guys that when he's getting the football in his hands, he's going to be a little bit more athletic than some of the interior defensive linemen we see on the film. Good first step, scraping, crossing the face of the guard. Again, in some of these like inside and outside zone plays where offensive linemen need to try to reach to get to Dante Simpson, he's a very hard guy to reach because he's so good off the line of scrimmage, knows how to use his hands to get off blocks, get into the backfield. I'm fascinated with this kid. And I think this was a target for Miami kind of throughout this process. And I'm guessing they wanted to get Dante Simpson, wanted to kind of get some feelers out to some other interior defensive linemen, kind of knowing Dante Simpson was right there in their backyard, knowing they probably could land that commitment. We talk about this all the time. You're not going to land every single guy that's on the top of your board. Do you have the ability to pivot and still get very good football players? Dante Simpson is a very good football player. And you start scrolling down this class for Miami, I think the one thing you're missing, right? We feel good about what they did, especially in the defensive back room. Guys like Drake Stubbs, Jabari Antoine feel good at the running back spot. One of the things that we felt like Miami was kind of missing was some of those bodies on the inside of the defensive line. And what Miami did learn throughout the transfer portal is these are some of the harder bodies to get in the transfer portal. Now, Miami was able to make it happen, and they are going to be a team that can make it happen in the transfer portal, but it's not necessarily ideal to have to go to the transfer portal every single year. You go back to the 2024 cycle, guys like Armando Blunt and Justin Scott and Artavius Jones, you kind of knew Miami wasn't going to take a massive class on the defensive line in 2025 because of how good the 2024 class was. You still want to fill some bodies up. Iosa Epinesa, probably the other guy on this Miami Hurricanes defensive line that they're going after. We'll cut it there. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.